Welcome to the final installment of the Sexism Challenge for Women's History Month 2018. It's been a fun month. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Most importantly, I hope you learned something about yourself, about sexism and the systems that prop it up, because I don't ever want you to think that it's individuals' sole responsibility to fix systemic problems, but I also don't want you to forget the power of individuals to fix systemic problems. When it comes to systemic oppression, it really is a both and, not an either or. And yet ourselves as individuals is in our sphere of influence. And so it's a constant place of practice where we can learn new things, disrupt old patterns, and build new muscles. I'm really curious what topic you decided to look at from an intersectional lens from last segment. I heard from a few people. One person was grappling with kind of conflating and mushing together all these ideas of socialization, gender discrimination, and sexism, and they were suggesting that it's all about nature and that all of this that we see is about biology, that this is just the way that we're hardwired to be. And I think it's important to realize that nothing is an either or, a nature versus nurture, it's both. We have genes that get turned on and sometimes don't based on our environment. We see that for mental illness, medical disorders, and disease. So why would it be any different for sex and gender? So it's really important for us to remember how it's not an either or, it's not a binary, and that it's interactive and iterative and how these concepts impact each other. I had someone else share with me that they feel like in this day and age, you should just choose to not be oppressed, that there's so much opportunity that it really is a choice to stay oppressed. And I hate to jerk you back to reality, no pun intended, but it really isn't a choice to be oppressed. I'm pretty sure that women who were owned as property and who couldn't own property or vote would have easily just chosen not to be if it were that simple, but it's not. People don't typically choose oppression. If people are going to choose something, it's going to be prosperity and freedom and opportunity for themselves. So it's just not that simple. The thing is, sexism is alive and well regardless of women's will or choice. One of the examples that I thought of in response to last week's segment was Monique and pay disparities. So Monique's been in the news the last few months and was calling for a boycott of Netflix because she was offered a disproportionately lower amount of money for a comedy special compared to Amy Schumer and Dave Chappelle. So a white woman and a black man, and the black woman gets offered significantly less. There have been a lot of think pieces and commentary around, should we boycott Netflix or not? Is Monique in the right, or is she just being selfish? But I want to stop us, and regardless of how we feel about Monique, what happened is a reflection of society, of pay disparities when looked at from an intersectional lens. We know that on average, women make 80 cents to the dollar of what men make. And the difference is worse when you look at women of color. Latinas make 54 cents compared to the dollar that white men would earn, which then equates to like over $1 million when you look at a 40-year career lifespan. Black women make 63 cents to the dollar compared to white men, and Asian women make 85 cents compared to white men. Now, remember, these are just averages. What people make can vary within racial and ethnic and gender groups and across, but on average, if these numbers and disparities feel wrong to you, then so should Monique's lower offer. I know that there's a whole bunch of discussion around, where is her standing as a performer and a comedian, and of course that comes into play. I want to be clear that when we look at pay disparities on the basis of gender and race, we see that Latinas and black women significantly, disproportionately get the short end of the stick. Whereas Asian women are making 85 cents to the dollar, which is a little more than the average of all women, both Latina and black women are making less. I couldn't find the numbers for American Indian women, but my hunch is that they're also significantly lower than the average as well. This question of pay disparities is a really good example of what we talked about last segment, that you take a topic that you think is narrowly about gender, but include an intersectional lens, and voila, it's more complex. And that's why we need to work to understand each one of them and how they connect and intersect. Again, thanks for joining us for the Sexism Challenge. I'm going to leave you with a couple gems that you can continue to dig into and chew on as you move forward and continue thinking about how to disrupt sexism. The first one is related to Naomi Wadler, an 11-year-old girl who spoke at the March for Our Lives rally this past weekend. If you have not heard her speech, get thee to a link and hear the future of young women, the future of gender and intersectionality, and her call to action to all of us to make sure that all women are seen, heard, and their stories are cared about. She spoke truth to power impressively, and I want to be like her when I grow up. And the last one is this piece you might have seen flying around. It's 100 Ways to Make the Lives of Women More Bearable. And I think number 39 is really apropos to what we've been talking about. And it is recruit women on the same salary as men, even if they don't ask for it. So that's one small way that you can, in your sphere of influence, if you're ever in the position to hire someone, make sure you can disrupt sexism. Because remember, that was our whole goal with this challenge, is in honor of Women's History Month, to do some individual work and some systems analysis to see how we can disrupt the system of sexism and potentially create new ways of being. So that's that. One challenge in the books. Make sure to like my Facebook page or subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date when we put up new challenges or have discussions. We want you to be a part of it. Thanks for joining us.